So a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions with PowerShell, and I feel like they need to be cleared up. It's been my experience that we push really hard to use Git Bash, but it's absolutely unnecessary. There's nothing that Bash can do that PowerShell can't do, and sometimes better and easier. I've automated a lot of my workflow with PowerShell. I'm really lazy. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna go through and show you some stuff that I have that is just phenomenally lazy, okay? For this presentation, I even added in a quick little alias because I didn't feel like actually looking for it. So now we're in Project Brown Bag. There's nothing here. But I'm gonna show you what my repo looks like and some of the things that I can do with it. So we're gonna open code here. And see, the biggest misconception is that PowerShell is just for like the command line. But in actuality, PowerShell, this is an example that I've found. PowerShell is actually a full .NET capable language, and it can actually make GUIs. It uses XML in the script at the very beginning of it, and you can set it so that each button does different things, just like you're building a website. It's actually really powerful, and you can actually take this and compile it into an exe. So you can build a full, simple, quick tool from scratch with PowerShell in probably about an hour. With this, and by going to the website Posh GUI. I'll put a link into the Slack channel when I'm done. That's where I found this example. I played around with my own example. It didn't get functional. It was supposed to be, but that's okay because most of my stuff is by command line anyway. This is what it was going to be, just a quick little simple, you set the directory, you make your commit message, and then commit and push. I don't even use this though because I do mainly command line with it. The first thing is that's similar, I guess, to Bash is that we do have our profile, but it's more powerful in that I don't have to put all of my custom functions in there. So this is what my PowerShell profile looks like. It's kind of like a Bash profile or like a Bash RC, and you know, you can import your modules. This is how I get my Vim working. I have Emacs can launch in there. This is a couple of custom little things I do. So if you notice, this is kind of like Oh My Zish, but it's Oh My Posh. So I can have my own custom prompts. You don't actually have to use that though, and you could technically program that all in from scratch, but I didn't feel like doing that. It was easier just to use the add-on. If you see, I have like here, I have work, source, brown bag, code is edit, so I can open it wherever I'm at. But now here's where things get really cool. These ones are my custom modules. GACP, AutoMern, initpr. These two are still kind of experimental, so if you clone it, like don't 100% think these are gonna work. And another thing that's really important to note, if you're gonna do these things, you need to run an administrator like exclusively. This is not like Bash. We need to be an administrator all the time. There's no reason to not be an administrator. Just be really careful. So to start off, first I'm gonna do one here. It's called Lambda PR. This is what I do when I'm working. And I don't actually have to list the entire, the Git to it. So first let's do an ls. Okay, there's nothing here. Lambda PR, pre-course. This clones it, adds in a initial file, and then git add commit and pushes with the word init. And then it opens up Google Chrome to it, the page that I need so that I can actually do my, my pull request immediately. It's really useful and convenient. Another one I do that I actually just modified this morning because Zhang was telling me is AutoMern. And this is actually really fancy. Let's see, I'll name it Zhang. This will build out a Create React app with a client, a server, npm install all of the needed dependencies for anything that you're probably going to need it for, and then open it up in VS Code. That one's going to take a little bit to run though, so while that's going, I'm going to open up my my custom global modules so you guys can see what they do and how I made them. It's not super complicated, but you have to know the right syntax. And that was the hardest part for me, is getting certain things to work. Takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. I probably spent 5 days to build AutoMern. This is the actual code for them. And if you go to the repo, I have a really nicely drawn up README that is really convenient. It says how everything is supposed to lay out. It has pictures and has really good explanations on how to do it all. Let's see how much more is left on this to go. Yeah, see, I hate Create React App. It takes forever. I guess I can kind of open it for questions while this is going. So if you guys have anything, by all means, ask away. I've been playing with PowerShell a long time because I had a lot of problems when I used Git Bash. I had to learn all the different commands, and it was just aggravating. Why am I learning how to do this when I could just do it faster on PowerShell? Using Git Bash is like using an emulator. It takes forever. It's not nearly as fast. I've seen comparisons where they say doing something in PowerShell is up to 40% faster than doing it in Git Bash. Oh, where would you go to totally start getting into it? Microsoft. I learned a lot of my stuff from the Microsoft help page. They have a list of every possible commandlet. Because the weird thing is, this is not like Bash, and this is not like DOS. They don't run commands, they run commandlets. And it's slightly different, and it's kind of a complicated thing to understand, but I guess the weird thing is it doesn't do things. If you're familiar with batch files, and if you're familiar with bash scripts, see, so this opened up automatically here. You'll know that when you put commands in, you have to line them up and make sure you have it wait for this one and wait for that one. You don't have to do any of that with PowerShell. You just put in your commands really cleanly, and they will run consecutively and wait for the other one automatically. No additional planning and timing required at all. I don't have to make it do anything at all. I just literally put it in and it runs. It's super convenient. So like if you look at my AutoMern, which was, you know, the hardest one I did, I don't have anything extra. It's not like, you know, 100 lines long with most of it taken up by echo and wait and, you know, don't echo. And it's just right here. I just run it and it goes. And it's right. I already have it opened up, and I can go and push this right now. Let's see. This was the Zang when we opened up. If you look in, there is the client. Inside the source, there are actions, components, containers, reducers. Everything is set up, ready to go for React Redux. I did like one line of code to automatically build out my front and back, and that's it. I didn't spend all this extra time setting up a boilerplate, and it's already here. It's ready to go. I put a little folder so that you can store fake data. I thought about actually adding fake data, but I didn't know what you were going to need to put in there, and I wanted to keep it as universal as possible. This would be where your database goes with models, routes. Everything is exactly like I said, ready to go. The node modules are installed in the correct locations, and it's perfect. It's probably as fast as you could do it without having to actually sit there and do it all out by yourself. Does it use programs the same as Bash would as long as it's on the path? Yes, yes. But you don't even actually have to have it in the path. You can add it to your profile. So like, I don't have to have it in there. I can just list the I can list how to get to the exe just like you can in Bash. Like you can do like /bin/ whatever your command is to run. You can do the exact same thing here. And I actually have an example of that in my my folder here I had hyper. This is where I stored hyper. It was start process, and that's how you get it running. The other convenient thing is I don't have to do anything like crazy like auto hup and then make it echo the command line into another file. It doesn't do that because Windows doesn't require me to put all these extra commands in to make it just launch quietly without having anything take over my my command prompt. Let's see. Another thing that I do that's actually convenient is, so like I said, this is ready to go. I just type GACP, and that get add commit and pushes, and my message is automatically set to be the exact time and date of whatever it goes through. Again, so I don't have to do anything. How do you do the boilerplate with Bash? I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah, it is crazy fast. It doesn't really require a whole lot of work, and because it's not Git Bash, I'm not sitting around waiting for it to figure things out. Oh, the create React boilerplate? That actually is just running create React app. If you look here, it is, yeah, I just run create React app on line 5. I still had to install the create React app, and I had to, I have to have Node to make it all work, but it does all of the installs. So like on the, let me open up the, where was the Zang one? Here it is. The package JSON. You can see this is what it installed. Everything is here as it's supposed to be for the server side, and the client is in its own separate folder with its own separate package JSON, and it has its own built-in too. All that is, it just runs the npm commands that I've already installed. The biggest syntax difference is that some of the commands that you use, Windows already put in there for the a built-in alias. So like, ls is this, it lists it out, but that's not the Windows native command. The Windows native command is like get child item. But they add those things in there. So if you're trying to build scripts, you're not supposed to use aliases. And that's probably the thing that really messed me up the most, was that I was trying to build it with aliases. You can't CD into thing. You have to set location. You have to push location and pop location. It's all just slightly different. Perhaps you can do one line at a time instead of every line. So you just want to run create React app. Can you just do the line up that? I mean, I can just, like, can I just run create React app so you can see it? I can just type create React app. It's exactly the same as if you're on Bash. It's not anything like special. If you want, I can just run create React app for you though. So, whoops. I actually created that React app inside of the pre-course. So now we're back here. This is just the same. This isn't, it's not like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. It's not a batch. It's like a batch, but it's not a batch. And that's where the fine distinction is. If it was a batch, it would just go boom, 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 and everything wouldn't work. I'd have to put timers in. I'd have to make sure I have it waiting. I'd have to coordinate a lot more. But with the PowerShell script, I don't have to do any of that. All I have to do is tell it to run that command, and then it will automatically wait on its own. I don't have to do any additional timing and planning, because it doesn't run commands. It runs commandlets. So a commandlet is basically like, trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's not a command. Correct. That's exactly what it's like. Correct, exactly. It's it calls other functions that are built in somewhere else in the machine. But here's what makes this really powerful. There are multiple versions of PowerShell that are available. And now Windows is making it for everyone. This is the newest version, which is slightly different. But this version can run on Mac and Linux. So it's not just for Windows people anymore. I can make one script that runs cross-platform across everything. And I can control and modify, shut down across networks. I can do everything from within PowerShell. I don't have to leave it. But it's just better. I mean, if we have this built in, why use Git Bash at all? There's really nothing that you can't do. Like Git Bash has curl, because that's their web request one, right? Well, PowerShell has invoke web request. In actuality, if you took the time, you could build a full REST client with PowerShell, and it will run as if it were built with Node. You don't actually have to use any of that. You can build your entire backend in PowerShell, and that's kind of what they do with .NET. PowerShell install. It's actually more like ps-get, because there is a repo of, they call it the PowerShell gallery. And this is where you can get all kinds of additional commands and things that didn't exist before. So not everything. Yes. It's called Chocolatey. So and that would be, and I use this too. I use this all the time. It's the de facto package manager for Windows. And the cool thing about it is you can actually make it print out everything that you have. Like you can make it give you a list of every package that you have built in. The only thing I don't like about Choco is it's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel as powerful as apt-get, because it's not everything is there. So you still have a lot of this, workarounds to make things work. But I mean, it's still useful. And, like I said, I've been playing with this a lot because it's just so much more convenient. Yes, you can. You can use, whoops. I believe you can use NuGet. Yeah, I mean, you can install it from Choco. Oops. And it's just there's so much power and functionality. I mean, we have a full, like, GUI capable building language built into our operating system, but like we go behind and try to use Git Bash because it's just easier to try and teach everyone to use one set of syntax, even though it's not necessarily the ideal syntax for us. On Windows, we can do so much more just by using our built-in tools. I'm not gonna lie, though, there are some things that I don't like with Windows. Like, I have a couple custom little tools here and there, but for the most part, it's actually really useful. Oh, you can also change and edit your registry directly within PowerShell. I think the only thing I dislike about PowerShell is that the syntax it's really strange, and it can be verbose if you're trying to, like, if you don't have aliases set and you're trying to figure out what they are. Like, you just like curl to invoke web requests. I mean, that's a huge difference in the amount of words that I have to type out. I mean, now they've actually ported curl, but for a while it was like ridiculous. I have to type out like 20 or 30 different letters just to make it do something. That was just inconvenient. Outside of that, I can't think of much that I don't like about it. I like the automation. And I did port some of this to bash scripts, but it wasn't the same because I hate having to time it out. I have to make it say wait, and try and do this and then do that. And then it's so much faster and easier to do it with PowerShell. I can make scripts here that I can run across the board way faster. I think one that I use the most is if I ever do a reinstall, I have a script that's called declutter or decrapify or something. And it just goes and removes all the built-in Windows stuff that you don't want. You know, all those stupid games and what is it? Not the Siri, I can't think of the name, the Cortana. It removes Cortana and all of that stuff automatically. I use that every single time I do a fresh install. Yes, I have used this Windows subsystem for Linux, and about 2 weeks ago, I accidentally destroyed my entire operating system and I had to reinstall everything just for this presentation. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. The main thing being anything that you touch with Linux, you are not supposed to touch with Windows at all. So if you're using it for, you know, cloning your repos, you're not supposed to touch those repos with your Windows version of VS Code. So now, if you really wanted to do it the correct way without ruining everything, you're supposed to get like an X11 server and make that, you know, rigged up so that it'll start up Linux GUI apps, and then they don't always work, and it's just a pain because Microsoft specifically tells you when you put WSL on there, do not touch anything that has like Linux and Windows. Even though they're together, they're not supposed to touch each other. Exactly. It's way too much hassle. And that was, I think, my main complaint when we went to the C portion was I had to use Linux. Because why am I using Linux? Well, you have to use it to for the C compiler. And I get that. I understand that. But 90% of the world that is not developers uses Windows. Why am I making programs in C for, you know, POSIX complete when I could do it with Windows? They have their own versions of everything. Exactly. Or honestly, I found that while I'm not a huge fan of the VirtualBox VMware, I do like VMware Workstation. That's actually pretty cool. I've considered going to like installing Windows as my base and then running VM Workstation and having a Windows workstation that I work on, and then inside like 3 or 4 different versions of Linux and Windows and all the different ones. I think the main issue that I had with using the WSL, though, definitely was that you're not supposed to touch it. And they're very adamant about that. And Microsoft is trying to push this to be the main thing now. They're trying to get everybody on board with it. That's kind of why they started doing the PowerShell for everyone, because you can control Azure with PowerShell completely from right here. And now with the buyout of GitHub, there's a very good chance you're going to be able to launch on Azure immediately. I mean, I would start getting the tools now so that you're not trying to figure out some workaround. Oh, there's more chats here. Yeah, really Bash. I really am not a huge fan of Bash, though, in all seriousness. I did like Zish a little bit, and I kind of like the what was the other one, the C one, because it was kind of convenient to help me with my syntax when I was learning C. But ultimately, I don't think I'm really going to use that in real life, and I would really like to do something with Microsoft. So I kind of feel like I should focus on their products like .NET and all that stuff. And I think the other thing that's really convenient with PowerShell is that you don't have to do VBS scripts really anymore. You can do everything as a PowerShell script. Again, super convenient, simple, quick to learn. I would highly recommend it. And I posted the repo on there if anybody wanted to check it out. There's pretty good documentation, but again, some of them are experimental, so don't trust them all. Like ask me and I'll tell you which ones do not run. I think I may have tagged them, do not run this or do not trust this one on some of them, but I don't 100% remember. Like I know this one, don't do this one. I was trying to be lazy so I could just install my my custom modules like automatically, but I for some reason can't get it to allow me to have access to that folder because it's supposed to be like the system folder. You're not really supposed to touch that. So you still have to install manually, but in the meantime, until I fix this. So, I mean, that's pretty much it though, guys. If you have any questions other than these, by all means, keep going. I love to talk about PowerShell, and I really dislike Git Bash. I don't know what it is other than the slowness. Because you don't have to have it. You can run your Git commands in PowerShell. There's no real reason I see other than it comes with Git when you install it. So yeah, if you guys feel like being lazy and having your stuff build out automatically, check into my stuff and maybe we can build something even better. I've also done some stuff like I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Unibeautify. It's the new like beautify thing that comes with Atom. I've made some little scripts that they're trying to incorporate into their install so that it will automatically npm install all of your beautify packages, because if you do it the long way, it takes a long time to set up. There's like all kinds, like 20 or 30 different packages you have to install and make sure you point them to the right place, and it's kind of a pain. But I mean, scripting is life. We can do everything here and just minimize our work. Why do it 20 times when we can do it once?
Okay, we're gonna do a last call for questions. Give you like a minute to think of something, and then if not, we'll go ahead and wrap things up.
The PowerShell complete repo. I mean, I'll get around to that eventually. I can make it just like automatically do a lot of work.
Well, I think that about wraps everything up. Thanks everyone for coming today, and thanks Mykeal for coming to chat with us. So if you have any questions, you can find, Mykeal's on Slack. So yeah, that's what we got. Thanks everybody, and have a nice afternoon. Bye.